everyone, going to have a chat about this book. It's a couple of years old, but I've just come across it. Looking Glass Sound. Now, look at that. It's green, it's gold. It's supposed to be the swirly waters of a bay, but then you notice the cottage and the dude, and then you notice that it's flipped. Now, this book was one I don't like. It's got the premise of something that I don't like, but I'll read the blurb first, because this is what grabbed me. Writers are monsters. We eat everything we see. In a cottage overlooking the sea, Walter Harlow begins the last book he will ever write. It is the story of his childhood companions and a killer who stalked the small town where they spent their summers, of a horror that has followed Walter through the decades, and of Sky, Walter's one-time friend, who stole his unfinished memoir and turned it into a lurid, best-selling novel, The Sound and the Dagger. This book will be Walter's revenge on Sky, who betrayed his trust and died without ever telling him why. But as he writes, Walter begins to find notes written in Sky's signature green ink, and probably why that's green. Just realised. And events in his manuscript start to chime eerily with the present. Is Sky haunting him? And who is the woman drowning in the cove, whom no one else can see? No longer able to trust his own eyes, Walter begins to fear that this will not only be his last book, but the last thing he ever does. Now, it's about 2 years old, so I'm not really going to give anything away. It is about an author writing a book, about a book, about a book, about a book, in a book, in a book, in a book. And it got really bloody confusing. And I hate storylines that do that. I hate it when you read 2/3 of the way through and you think you are reading about, you know, this character, in this case, Walter. And then you find out he's dead. And it wasn't about him at all. It was all made up shit because she was writing a book about the book she'd written about everything that they went through. And that he actually died 19 years beforehand. And that there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on that it was just, I kept flicking back and forth. I was like, hang on, what did I just read? Read it. Wait, what? No, it didn't make sense. I hate books that do this. Now, overall, the premise, turn Sandra around, overall, the premise was actually pretty good. I'm not even going to try and explain it. But it's about Walter, who, well, died at 19, which we didn't know until, 20 years later, who the book starts off with his memoirs. So obviously his memoirs are stolen by Pearl, who's a girl who loses her mother, which is kind of where the whole mystery starts. And then you find out there are people related to other people and people who aren't related to other people, and all sorts of shit goes down. And overall, the premise of the story was a good one. The execution, if you're leaving people confused, it wasn't executed well. Now, leaving red herrings and little bits and pieces here and there, and it's like, ooh, okay, that I get. But when you make people have to go back and read what they've just read and hang on, wait, what? He's dead? What do you mean he's dead? I just read about him. So, Looking Glass Sound, I mean, 2/3 of it was good until you get to the confusing bit towards the end when you find out that everything you just read was bullshit and didn't even exist in the world of the book, and that she's writing a book about the book she'd written after stealing his diaries. I don't know, somewhere between 6 and 7, 6.5 maybe. It was a good read, but it was a bloody confusing read. And if you don't like confusing books, I don't recommend it. But if you love a good murder mystery, give it a go. See how you go. You might have a better time and better luck than me. So that's Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward. Oh, it's a great cover. But yeah, it's not a great book.